Welcome to the Earthworks Podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon from many of our turf friends from the past 30 years.
Hello all and welcome to the Earthworks Podcast. This week I am your host for a very special episode because we've got four guys on the mic today. I am joined by, of course, Joel Simmons.
Of course.
But we have some real special guests, Joel.
We are live at the U.S. Women's Open in Lancaster Country Club, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with the host, Superintendent, who has done an incredible job.
Director of Grounds, Josh Saunders, and his original mentor, the OG, Director of Grounds at Congressional, Mr. Pete Wendt. So we're down for the conversation here. You just watched the first group tee off and on day one, and here we are. Josh, what do you say, man?
I'm excited. I'm relieved. Most definitely. I think it's a long time in the making. I think everyone that knows me, and Pete would agree, I've really driven my career for championship golf, and to see that opening tee shot and to have so many of my friends and network here the last 24 hours to be around and support me is, it's really emotional and feel really good about it.
And the old boss is here.
Yeah. It's nice riding around with him.
Not bad, yeah. Did he actually help you deliver breakfast, or did he just sit in the cart?
No, he just sat in the cart, gave advice, told me what I was doing wrong, just kind of like the good old days. So,
exactly. That's right.
Some things just never
Some
change.
things never change, do they?
Indeed.
Can't find
we're
anything
having a
wrong
special...
out there, baby.
Yeah. No, it's really...
Well, that's nice to hear.
I really appreciate all the support from everybody over the years and just everyone being here. It's been a really emotional week for me.
I bet
too,
it has. For a long time, probably. You've been doing this for 4 or 5 months on grounds, but you've been planning for how long? 2 years?
2-3 years.
Wow.
We started planning about 2 years ago and kind of getting everything in order with, lining up volunteers, and I really wanted to make it a special event too, like food trucks every night, and I wanted it to be an experience that
local experience, local food trucks. Yeah, it's been great.
That volunteers would remember, and that's where I kind of set it up for.
You've been so accommodating, and that's something that Joel and I've gotten a chance to talk about a lot on mic so far, is that you've really set a vibe here with the group that is really nice, man. I mean, and really, like I'm saying, accommodating, a lot of hospitality, and just very comfortable, very, very comfortable. So everyone's well fed and well taken care of, and it's really
and they
really
seem
nice.
to be having a great time. I mean, you got 80 volunteers?
We're about 95 deep total.
Okay.
So with the 18 guys
of
on my staff.
Of your team, yeah.
So, I would say, give or take 75.
And it seems like they're having a blast. I mean, it's been a lot of fun talking to them.
And that's what I wanted. I wanted, it's a much bigger picture than just, coming to help volunteer, right? It's about networking. It's about an experience. It's about something that you can take home with you, and I think hopefully we've encompassed that. I mean, obviously, I've had a lot of my network has sent guys. I mean, Pete sent me a couple individuals, and Ryan has, and Brandon has, and the whole 9 yards. And then on top of that, Women in Turf is here. So we got a great group, and it was for me, Monday morning was just so special.
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
Like when you go,
you can see it on your face. Actually,
you start this year with 18 people. You go through multiple floods and all that's gone down. And
your H2B guys,
and not getting the H2B guys,
you're down staff.
So and the hours that we put in there in the weeks that we were closed heading in, and sitting there at about 4:30 on Monday morning and looking across our property, which we all know you can see 14 holes, and seeing all the lights.
Yeah.
Seeing the storm of 10 fairway mowers, and it
was cool. I had the pleasure to drive around with you during setup yesterday morning, and really it was just something special to witness and to be a part of. I also enjoyed watching the radar all week,
right.
And like you said, it's been emotional. Like I really, man, it's been a blessed situation.
Yeah.
Like
there was
you
definitely
dodged.
someone looking down on me this week.
That's
for
wonderful.
You got great weather. I mean, it's a little windy, as you could probably see by our little thing flapping around, but it's it's going to be a beautiful day. There's not a cloud in the sky right now on opening day, Thursday morning here, which is great.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be a real test for him.
When you came here, was the Open scheduled?
Yes.
It was. So you knew coming when you came. How long have you been here now? Tell everybody.
This is my 6th season. So I started in February of 2019.
And you kind of came here for this event. To a great extent, anyway.
Yeah, pretty
right?
much. I mean, I love my membership, so I don't want anyone listening to think otherwise.
No, of course not.
That
Absolutely.
it was definitely a motivating factor for me, and I, reached out to Pete a lot about it, and that.
Did he help you?
I'm not the most helpful person on earth. Come on.
I mean, he just tells me how it is, but.
Right.
I mean, I think he knew in the close circle.
Yeah, of course.
They all knew that this is what I want to do, and this is what I've driven my career for, and hopefully this isn't it.
Oh, not with the way this place looks and the setup that you guys have here. You should be set for a long time.
Thank you. So
they should be bringing every major here.
So and hopefully this is just the start of many.
Yeah.
And having many of these reunions and get-togethers with great friends. I mean, we don't see each other enough as it is. It's like national is the only time we're all together. I feel like at this point in our careers, and so it's kind of nice, like me having it, and then we'll obviously all see each other this fall with Scott. And so
at the Solheim Cup at Robert Trent Jones. Yeah. Which will be a lot of fun. So you were our very first podcast. I've known you since you were, probably a teenager.
I still remember you introducing Jack at Kinloch for the Soil Academy.
Yeah, that was a good academy too.
That was like my second year.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys know how to host.
05 or 06 or something like that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I've been around.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
Wow.
You talk about putting in the time. Like you've had a career that's led up to this. How much time did you put in with this guy?
9 years. 9.
Was it 9 years?
9.
Wow, it felt like 25.
All at Kinloch, right?
Yeah.
Only in Kinloch. Yeah.
Only at Kinloch. Yep. So I started in 05, right after Augusta. So 05, and then I left in December of 2012, right before I went to Pittsburgh.
To go to Pittsburgh, and then 6 years ago you came here.
Went to Longview.
Yep.
Yeah, and Longview was beautiful, and you did a great job.
The transformation at Longview in his time there, I was lucky enough to go up there a few times and play, and just incredible. I mean, what an amazing place, and the work Josh did there in his time there was amazing.
Yeah. I'm thrilled just to have the both of you here because, I call this the Robert Trent Jones family. I mean, it's one of the best networks in any industry you can find. I mean, you guys are so close. You help each other so much all over the country now. But, to have a guy like Pete Wendt and, Glenn Smickley and as our patriarch and, really setting this thing up has been cool.
Well, and it shows. I mean, look, I mean, it started months ago, but even just in the last 2 weeks, our group thread through text, we're just constantly checking in and send me pictures and what are you thinking and get out of your head, Yosh. I mean, how many times did I hear that over the last 2 weeks?
Mostly by Pete, right?
Well, Pete, you're overthinking.
You're overthinking.
So it's kind of nice having that.
Tell us one thing you were overthinking about. Like what was something that was?
Or Pete, you tell us.
Yeah, or it was something that was worrying you last week. Yeah,
I'll tell you. I think, anyone in this situation is going to overthink every little decision. And he was sending me pictures of fairways and saying, I think they're a little too green. What do you think? And here's what I've been doing growth reg wise. And I'm like, yeah, you're overthinking it, man. They're perfect. And you're going to mow them every day and they're going to be amazing.
Well, I think it's a challenge for all of us, right? If you're staring at something every day, whether you're hosting a championship or not, sometimes you start to overthink things,
every day, even on a regular maintenance week.
Yep.
So, I mean, isn't that the nature of the business?
Yeah.
And, especially the guys that care. I mean, you're going to think about every little thing.
But I'm sure Pete's the same way. I tell my assistants that I think that's what makes us good too, though, in some ways, right? Like
Attention to detail.
It's all about detail, and I think that's what separates us from others, and puts us at championship type venues. And
that was something I think you focused on last night and this morning was a lot of real aesthetic cleanup. You wanted everything proper. I know you did a final mow on rough last night. Yep. Blew the whole course off. Everything was.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, Jack, that was a lot due to manpower. I mean, being a third of my staff short right now and heading into the championship. I mean, we kept the other 9 holes all the way open till last Friday. So, to start the year, we were, maintaining 427 acres, right? So, like, that's a lot with 18 people, especially when you're hosting a major championship this time of year. So that was one of the big things that was really nice about getting all the volunteers here. It really allowed me, we pulled weeds out of bunkers on Monday night. If you think about
with the
that.
full
on
group,
Monday
yes.
night,
On Monday
championship
night,
week.
we're pulling Bermuda runners and weeds out of our bunkers heading into the championship.
Yeah, that's kind of a remarkable thing, like a monkey wrench that got thrown in the mix. Like, that's a real interesting one. You were 400 acres with 18 people.
Right.
And
I think the amazing thing too is Sunday, of course, USGA's in. They're trying to get in touch with Josh and talk about the week and all the things that are going into it. And it shows Josh's work ethic. He's out there mowing greens why? Because they had to.
Yeah,
and he's out there himself mowing greens. 18 guys on 400 acres. So, Josh just has an amazing work ethic, and he's a great leader. So they're lucky to have him.
It's a nice thing.
It's been a great. The neatest thing last night. We went out after the rain went past, I guess, and there was like an army of guys. You just had them running down, and it was beautiful to watch. 17 guys on blowers behind the mowers, and just the tension to blowing the last little leaf off of the surrounds and the green complex. It was beautiful.
Well, it's absolutely organized chaos.
Yeah, it seemed like it. We took a lot of videos of that. We'll probably share them with folks.
You had to. I think, and Joel's referring to you rotary mowed green surrounds, but you had to, because you also got a 1/10 inch of rain from a thunderstorm right before that session, and if you took out all the sidewinders and big tires, it would have flattened everything.
We would have left a lot of marks
for sure.
We wouldn't have the clean look that hopefully we have on TV.
That's exactly right.
That's for sure.
And that was an audible, right? You just called that as it was happening.
Yeah, I was, Darren and I were talking a lot during the delay, and originally we were supposed to mow out everything inside the ropes, and I was just
Darren Bavard from the USGA.
I was just like, there's no way we're going to be able to do that at this point.
Yeah.
We're 2 hours after we should have started, and knowing the property and knowing the actual riding mowers, for lack of better words, that we had, I just knew it wasn't going to happen.
So the last 2 nights, you came in after dinner and you announced to everybody, greens are perfect. They didn't want you on them.
Yeah, explain what is that?
To me, that sounds like the greatest compliment.
So this is after your 2:30 USGA meeting. So tell us about some of this.
Well, I think Joel just said it.
The greens are perfect.
The greens are perfect.
So no, you didn't mow or roll any of those evenings.
Yeah. So since the start of championship week, we single cutted Monday night, and that's the last night
mow
any task that we've done on greens at all.
It's really wonderful.
Outside of setting up, and I think that's just a testament to the program and the health that we've built on those puppies, and past experiences.
And the consistency. That's something that I think you could highlight as well.
Honestly, that's what I'm most proud about right now.
Across the greens,
the board,
across
like
the golf
if you
course.
saw our numbers, we're within 4 inches, throughout, from 12.4 to 12 or something in that nature, right? So we're in a really good spot with that, and then even firmness, consistent, moisture content, right? And it's the guy stepping up. Nate and Zach and Matt are just doing a phenomenal job, and we've flipped the script because Dogwood had really lagged, and it really makes sense if you know our property. The back 9, they're much bigger greens, big open spaces. You get to the front 9, which is kind of a shot-making 9, and it's really small greens. So you think about that. It's more feet per square foot,
exactly.
right? And more people standing, more traffic. It's funny. You've been around, so you see the course setup team, and I get to number 4 green yesterday afternoon, and there's 15 people on the green, and I literally roll up, and I was like, well, this explains why it's been the firmest green all week.
and that's true. 4 is also the first green you come to out of the shop, and it's not just the USGA, it's like us too. That's kind of the one that people have.
We don't want to walk that far. We're kind of
out.
lazy.
Right.
We're just getting here.
Well, you did make it to number 3, and you called me for a cart, which is
that was exhausting.
300 yards from my shop.
Whew. Pete and I were tired.
But it's they're doing a great job, and they're really getting it, because the whole conversation for the first few days during our meetings was, how much further back Dogwood was, and we had a good rendezvous, and we said this is what we need to do over the next couple of days to adjust kind of our water management, and now we're really consistent.
Yeah.
So you were holding more moisture on Dogwood. You were a little softer, and
Meadow Creek was a lot firmer. I mean, to scale.
And this was last week,
right.
like you're saying.
Yeah. Once we started registering numbers on Saturday.
So what happens through the rest of the weekend with moisture management? I mean, right now you can kind of see by just watching us. It's windy, high dry sky. There's no humidity. You're just going to be there. I mean, the guys will just be checking.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we all have to remember when any of us are hosting an event that, look, come Monday, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
But come Tuesday, I aerify this place. So that's also in my mindset over the next 3 days. So, I think we're obviously going to stay on top of it, but we also have the weather that it's okay to let things go a little bit, and as long as we take care of it and touch things up in the evening, we'll be good to go.
Yeah. Did you get around before the last couple of years? Did you get to Congressional to see Pete's tournament?
I have walked it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I went a bunch during construction.
Yeah. And you were out at Pebble Beach last year for the Women's Open.
Yep. And I went last year for the KPMG too.
Yeah.
So I've been there quite a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Pete, how much different is this whole event than what the KPGN was? I can't even pronounce that.
KPMG.
And it's just letters. It's just letters,
So,
bro. You don't even have
It's just
to
letters. I can't even get that right.
I mean, look, very similar championships. Oh, sorry. Very similar championships.
Yeah.
I would say.
Well, I mean, yours was very interesting because you only just opened the golf course.
You were brand new.
We were brand new. We were
2 months prior.
No, we opened 11 months beforehand.
Okay.
So we went through 2 years of construction and then opened the golf course and hosted a championship that next year.
Both of you though had to deal with these kind of early season championships.
Sure.
Yeah, they're both May events, I think.
Yeah.
So I want to start with you, Pete. What were some of the strategies that you had to enable, or what was your mindset going into that?
Well, ours was a June event, so we had a little more time, but I like to call it bulldozer blight, right? Whenever you build a golf course and you've got that much activity over the property for 2 years straight, and ours was a massive renovation,
a whole
complete
18.
renovation.
Yeah, complete renovation. It takes
That's
a
a lot of
while to get
bulldozer
those
blight.
soils opened up. It
It
really
is a great
does.
term, because you're right. Like when you're dealing with stuff that never really saw any life, like
Sure.
if you subsoil, that sort of thing.
Sure.
There's just there's gonna be a lag time to start a
And
whole.
bulldozers are heavy. I
That's
mean,
it.
they can damage the soil quick.
That's it. And the amount of work that went in and dealing with Montgomery County and the state of Maryland. So the amount of sediment basins and everything else that had to be built through the process and then really put back in place so we could get back into building golf. So I would say where we are today compared to where we were there is a much better place, because we've had so many agronomic practices, deep tining, shock waving, trying to open up the soils, and then trying to build soils too. What you guys talk about on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
right. That's right.
So that was a big part of it. So as we move on, I think every year we're going to get a little better, which is great. I mean, I will say this, talking about this championship, when I walked out on the property, we were here playing golf with Josh this week, a year ago, and it was a lot of fun, just talking about what was coming a year from now. And walking out yesterday and looking at the place, I was just blown away. And especially the one thing that really stood out to me was approaches and greens just popped. I mean, his growth regulation program, his maintenance program, like they just had that bristly bronze look to them, and it was absolutely beautiful. It really was.
Yeah, it really and you're saying this from a year's time. I mean, the difference between a year ago now. And
Well, I mean, and it was perfect then, but I mean,
Yeah.
it is in true championship form today.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
is.
that's the deal. That's what you have to do, and that's a fine line to manage in, in the springtime, really.
That's it. Yeah.
Because you can't push that hard on the growth management program when you're not sure how much growth you're going to get.
Sure. And I think that's the thing, and Josh would say the same thing. When you're hosting a spring championship, you really have to think about, okay, what could happen if I have a really cool spring? I've got to get things up and growing and moving as fast as possible.
Which we have. I mean, like the last 6 months, have been about 35 inches of rain and
cold.
Well, cold. Yeah,
and
exactly.
miserable.
So
and he's been down 10 people or more, or whatever it is.
Well, but where we left it was that those approaches and greens are dialed in, and and you can tell looking at them, you can tell walking on them for sure.
Oh, it's amazing.
Well, I'm sorry, that was a call.
That's okay. You got
when
your
Darren
job.
calls.
Yeah, when the boss calls.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Pete used to call me all the time.
You answered, Pete?
No, I ignored. But honestly, guys, like I'm such a firm believer in my my background and how I was taught and how to manage and the programs that were instilled in me, that my number one focus was to have my greens and approaches pop. So I played around with that for a couple of years, actually, because I feel like sometimes, and this is just me being nitpicky as a golfer, I feel like sometimes, especially if you view TVs, you have that definitive aesthetic of your playing surfaces, right? And then outsides are lush, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I wanted that one extra little feature, and I think that everybody in the world's going to see it, because I hope they're alive.
Have you seen the
television?
They're
alive.
Have you seen it on TV yet?
Honestly,
you've been busy.
Well, yeah.
I was going to say, can't imagine you really spent a lot of time on it.
I think getting in bed on, what's today? Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday, yeah, first day.
I think getting to bed on Tuesday night, I actually kind of started scrolling a little bit. And that was kind of the first time
That's
I really...
dangerous, right before a major.
Yeah.
Yeah, listening to what anybody has to say.
Anytime going to bed and scrolling can be dangerous in a lot of ways, right?
True.
I mean, let's think about it.
You learned that from Pete, too.
Yeah, so I think...
I've seen it on. I was watching it as well. I was in the hotel and watching, a lot of local press from the television, and it's beautiful.
Right.
I mean, you see a lot of major tournaments. It's the weather or the dryness or conditions, but I mean, it's flawless on television.
It's just funny, the progression, right? I remember sitting there in May of 2019 and calling Pete and saying, "There's no way in hell I can host the Women's Open because it looked like it snowed this morning."
Yeah, I know.
Because of the
seed
heads.
Yeah.
And because of the pole in my
I think all of us that know you well had heard that. It's like, I think you would even said, I don't know if I would have made this journey.
I was like, why do you interview in November when you don't see anything, right?
Pete said this to you. Yeah, of course.
So I think it's just a progression. I think each year something's gone
But you
to me.
killed it with. I mean, I drove around this week, and I've been on this property with you a dozen times, and it looks fantastic. Your pole control management is unbelievable.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's just compared to where, I remember that first week when they started popping, and I think you were about to jump off a roof.
Yeah, it took a lot of people to talk me off the ledge.
There was a lot of lifelines that you had to call in for that. But yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, how do you do that? What's the trick?
Well, I think Mother Nature actually helped it a lot too. I mean, Jack kind of pegged it. We had a quick little burst of heat, so my flush was a little earlier than it traditionally is. So then, obviously, my mindset changed because I started going through senescence a lot too.
Right.
So we kind of played around with a bunch of things, and we treated the rougher seed head suppression back in the fall, which I had never done before. I am not traditionally, and you guys can have earmuffs, I'm not traditionally a dormant feed guy.
Yeah.
I kind of like to let things naturally
wake
wake up
about
and go.
That, Jack,
but I did 822 this past year.
Yes. And you did it like November
I
time.
did it like late November, right around Thanksgiving. And I think, look at the rough out there.
It looks pretty good.
So, I think in that situation, all those management things that I traditionally haven't done before worked. And a couple seed head sprays again this past year, and the spring we're good.
Yeah, but like you're saying, you've got a whole season of golf behind you, or coming up rather. So,
and that was important to me too. And I think that's something I reminded. I didn't want to artificially wake everything
No, no.
And I mean, with A1, A4, it's hard to do that anyway, but I didn't want to react. I was trying to stay as patient as I could. And I think that's where my network came in, because they always kept saying, "You're overthinking it, dumbass," or something in that nature. It was never a nice response. It was either
I think dumbass was the nicest thing they might have said.
Right. It was a lot of things. I mean, it's hard to censor that group.
We can't talk about
keep that between us.
We'll just leave that alone.
So, it's just being patient. You all right? You get attacked by the banner.
Can you tell?
I think the golf's going to be tough today.
Yeah, we got a lot of
I'm watching the trees blow behind us, and I bet there are going to be some high scores today. It is windy out here.
Windy, yeah. You can hear it on the microphones, and obviously, if you're seeing this, you can see.
Hey, can we throw out winning score predictions? I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. I'm thinking. I don't think that the winner breaks par.
Wow.
I think it's
on these greens. Did you
I
see
think
them
it's
practice?
I think it's even or plus one.
Wow.
The greens are slick. We walked around yesterday and watched a lot of play, and man, they were hitting the greens close to the pin and rolling off, coming down the fronts. I mean, and it's got some movement, but the greens are so subtle, and they're you got a lot of things going on in all your greens here. So I think anybody watching this is going to see, that there's going to be a lot of activity. I think that's why Jack's saying that now. He's not right, of course. It'll be under par, but it's going to be close.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That's just my prediction.
I just think I know, kind of, I've spent a lot of time, of course, set up, obviously, and I know that kind of the mission statement of the USGA, for a lack of better words, and fair but true. And
okay, good.
So I would say I'm going to go with like 4 or 5 under.
All right.
I 8 won it in 2015. I think with the course changes, tree removal, combination of a lot of factors, I just don't see it getting to 8 under. Could be dead wrong, but I think, if I was playing in this event and it was Sunday afternoon and I was 5 under par, I'd be very happy.
There you go.
What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4.
Yeah.
3 or 4 under.
Yeah. So talk about Lancaster hosted this in 15, and it was the biggest. Explain this to us. It was the biggest single U.S. Women's Open.
Yes. So it was the most attended.
Most attended. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
And those numbers could be flawed a little bit, but it's, to this date, it's the most attended Women's Open.
And you've outsold that to date now, right? So you're expecting
now,
as of now, and with
they
the
still
weather,
have to get their ticket checked.
Yeah, but you got the weather, and I mean, why wouldn't you want to come out to this event on a beautiful weekend like we're about to have?
Well, I think I think it says 2 things. I think the USGA believes in this property. It's one of the It's a venue that is back, relatively quick to be within a decade. That doesn't happen often. And then it just goes to show the community support. I mean, we've already raised more money this time from corporate sponsors, et cetera, than we did in 2015. So that says a lot too. Just the outpouring. I mean, the local support that I'm getting, it's a lot of those factors that.
This is a great community, a great golfing community. We interviewed, we interviewed your whole staff. We interviewed George, who's across the way, Manos, and I mean, he's just talking about the community as far as a golfing community, and it really, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, has got some serious, love for golf.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's got some good golf here. I think it's our proximity to Philly. To be an hour from Philly, an hour from Baltimore. We're in a region where we could kind of be considered the outcast.
Right.
But, hosting events like this, and, it's a rally around a lot of troops.
Yeah.
And if you look at our volunteer list, that shows, because it's Philly. It's the DC Mafia. It's that whole group.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
Pete's
where we're
hometown.
at.
Yeah. Let me ask both of you guys this: and I don't mean this to be negative in any way, but what's it like to be managed, if you will, by the USGA once they get on property? I mean, that obviously it's a partnership there, but I mean, you guys have both done this.
Yeah.
So I'll say this and you learn more and more the longer you're in the business.
Yeah.
And look, whether it's the USGA or the PGA of America and Kerry Haig, look. they do this for a living,
Yeah.
right? They host championships. They've done it time and time again. And I think the thing we learn is not only is it their course for the week, but they know what they're doing. They've done it before, and they're great at it. So sometimes it's hard when you really want to push your golf course and you want to do more and more and more, but they know what the players expect. They know what they expect for a championship, and that makes it great.
Yeah, and I mean, totally agree with Pete. And to be honest with you, I mean, he pulled me aside pretty much right away.
Yeah.
But
there again, your network's got experience.
Well, I mean, I was a little taken back of walking out and getting told, for the second straight day not to touch greens. And I'm not going to lie. And,
right.
If USGA officials...
And you really wanted to, didn't you?
Yeah, so if USGA officials will listen to this, I apologize. But I'll completely admit, I came out of the office, and whether it was my ego or whatever it was, I don't know. But I was just like, are they handcuffing me? Like, what is going on? And I think Pete sensed that and pulled me aside and, kind of calmed my nerves a little bit, and then brought a lot to perspective that this is what they do on an annual basis. This is, this is their event.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've gotten this property to the point that we can lay off that is actually a compliment.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
So.
And look, we all need that. It's not like I pulled him aside, like,
I saw you grab his ear, I think.
for any reason.
No, that happened a lot in my Kinlock days, trust me.
He's just so good at what he does. It's kudos to him to say, hey, you've got it so good.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we need to do right now. Right? That's the amazing
now
part.
You're pulling him down. You're not pushing him up.
Yeah.
He's already got it. You just got to calm the nerves.
Yeah, I
it's
think
incredible.
I don't know if it's natural or not, this being my first major and my first championship to have that mindset. But, I think for me, it's just there's a lot of variables, right? There's a lot of moving parts. You're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. So when it's hard for someone to tell you what you have to do.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
On your property.
On my property.
That's your
that
baby.
I know.
Yeah.
That I was mowing the greens on Sunday, so and that's just it speaks to our industry.
Yeah.
It's nice having such great friends.
Pete, what's it feel like to have one of your proteges now hosting a major and a tournament much bigger than anything you've ever hosted in the past, by the way?
It's incredible. it's incredible. I'll tell you what. So
Zing.
There's a couple of things there. I'm most proud of the fact that all of the guys that have moved on to do great things are still great friends of mine.
Yeah.
So that's the most proud thing.
And they lean on you. I mean, you get called all the time. You don't even get a chance to work because you're busy talking to all your buddies.
I lean on them as much. Like
I know.
I think that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
they'll all tell you I'm an awfulizer by trade. I mean, I see the smallest thing and I think, okay, the whole place is going to die. What are we going to do? And these guys have talked me off a ledge a million times. And I am where I am today, and I've said this before, but I am where I am today solely because of all of these guys who have worked with me over the years and made me successful.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be as successful as if I didn't have all these great guys who were so dedicated to their trade.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important that you realize too that we all are who we are because of your successes.
Oh man, thank you.
And like that's
That's
I think I speak
one
for
of the
all of us.
great thing about this network that I refer to as the RTJ network is that you guys have always built great teams. Team management coming from day one, and every single one of you have really been able to maintain that. Produce some great guys. Always have a great staff.
Right.
I mean, I watched you teach a guy how to do, one of the cuts on
bevel cut.
The bevel cut. We watched you doing that the other time. I'm like, that's pretty. And this is the week of the champion, and you're out there training a guy how to do the bevel cut.
Let me just interrupt this stroke fest for a second. And what is the bevel cut, Josh?
Because of our height of cut, and I don't have collars, so I don't have a transition of greens height to collar height to intermediate height. So I basically have one line of defense in between, 100 and 4 inches. They were fearful that with some of our slopes and roll-offs that a ball would come nestled right up against that 4-inch. So basically we dropped the left side of the mower wheels all the way down, kept the right side up to the 4 inches and mowed, so you kind of got that incline or
it does look
alpine
cool.
or however you want to.
No, it looks cool and it functions, exactly like you're saying.
Yep.
Well, Jack, we don't want to talk agronomy, okay? I want to go back to the Love Fest. I want to talk a little bit about what Joel was saying in that, like, Glenn Smickley, who was my mentor, who's one of my best buddies in the world. The one thing that I think I really learned from Glenn, and when you're a young superintendent, I think you're so intense and you're so intent on, hey, I've got to have it perfect and I don't want anything to go wrong, and you get better at it every year. But Glenn always said, hey, take your job seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And I think all of us do that well. And we have a lot of fun when we're doing it. We're very
Sometimes
serious
too much,
at work. Yeah, sometimes too much fun.
You can tell.
But we're very serious at work, but we have a lot of fun while we're doing it. And look, it's a job, it's a career. If you're in this business, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. But you also have to look at it from the perspective of, the people that work with you and for you and everything else. Like, they need to have a life too outside of work.
Yeah, and I think I could speak for, I guess, what are we, the 5th generation of the tree?
A lot of generations.
I think there's a big tree now. This is getting to be a huge tree.
But that's one thing that stayed amongst this group.
Yeah.
And
it's culture, man.
We're all
it's
compassionate.
Culture.
I mean,
that's
look,
Glenn.
we all know that look, I'm not throwing myself under the bus, but I had challenges. I've been through a lot, and that tree stood beside me. Yeah. And that's what's made this week so compassionate for me. Like, they stood beside me, they believed in me, and here I am. And like that, Pete's exactly right. Yeah. There's more to life than what we come to every day and see. And like, it took me a long time to realize that. And
and while we're on the love train, I mean, I feel grateful. I mean, my whole career was built by Glenn Smickley and all you guys, and it's just been great camaraderie.
Well, we were kind of forced to.
I know. I paid him a lot.
We don't really like you, Joel.
We know that, but it makes me feel better to think.
We like Jack. He's a nice guy.
Jack's great.
Hey, thanks, guys.
But that's what they see what I mean.
Maybe if I get a free cup or
you can have a hat.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
That's how I get along in my life.
We can all use another Yeti, right?
A couple of drinks, a dinner, a couple of hats.
If I go home with a Yeti, I'll change my opinion.
Hey, bro, I like you too.
You have to. I pay you.
Good point. Good point.
What happens next? I mean, you're gonna be done with this on Sunday. What do you breathe? Do you take a day off? You're airifying on Tuesday.
Yeah, I am taking Monday off. I'm actually letting the whole staff.
They've all said that to us as we've interviewed them.
Right, so
we got Monday off.
Well, Stubby's on Sunday.
Stubby's, big party Sunday night.
I rented out Stubby's on Sunday night for the staff and friends and family.
Excellent.
So that's kind of something I wanted to do and have fun. And honestly, guys, I don't know. I mean, I think that's another part that's made me so emotional. When you think about something so much for 5 years, and even as simple as making that spray sheet or having Matt or Nate hand me a fairway spray in May of 2020, thinking about what that spray sheet would be in May of 2024. This has been something in the back of my
5 years in the works. I mean, think about that. That's much longer than you would plan a wedding, or any other major event in your life, and you've been living this, and now it's going to be over on Sunday night.
I think for me, like I said it, Ryan rode around with me this morning.
Ryan
and
Severus,
and Pete went out when I gave the guys breakfast, and I said,
I was going to ride around with you this morning, Josh, but I couldn't get up that early.
Well, I was used to that for a long time.
I've heard that. Yeah. Oh, what was the line that I heard you shout?
I said, hey, if I'm not there first thing in the morning, start without me.
I say that all the time too.
He said that to Ryan last night in the hotel.
Well, and it's so funny. Like, I remember we had the Nextels, right? And we'd be on like the putting green or number one, and I'd hear the beat, and I'd always look at everybody and like, oh, here's Pete. And he's like, how's things going? I don't know, Pete. We've been going for like an hour and a half. I have no idea where the greens mowers are.
I don't know. But, are they really out there?
I think for me, honestly, you guys being here has finally made me settle down.
Good.
And
that's why we're here.
I was really anxious and really nervous.
Of course.
And
it's your first big party.
Seeing all of you here, and then seeing that first tee shot, like, I finally feel comfortable, and I know that it's not in my hands anymore, and I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the next few days.
There's nothing that can go wrong that was your fault.
You were blessed with great weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and you have to be lucky. I say that all the time about this industry too. Is look, you have to be talented, but you have to have luck too. Like when I talked to a young guy who's looking to make a move in his career from up north down south, and Pat Finland gave him my number, and he gave me a call and was asking me for advice. And I said, look, I don't know that I have a ton of advice. I said, if I go back through my career, I've been really lucky. And you have to have luck. You have to have luck and you have to have talent.
Yeah.
And you put the two together and you have something really good.
You need a network. You need some friends.
Yeah,
that can
you
get
do.
You, through
need a
the
lot of
rough
great
times.
friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've got them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the whole
absolutely.
industry does.
I did want to say I see you building that network for the next generation as well. I've seen that on this crew.
Yeah.
Like
Awesome.
I've seen what you're establishing.
Well, I think that's important.
The tree continues.
Yeah, we interviewed every one of your guys, except for, I guess, Cam. We'll get Cam eventually. But, I mean, every one of them is as sharp as can be. I mean, every one of them could be a superintendent.
I don't know where the hell they learned that from.
I think Pete talks
Josh
to a
is
lot.
as sharp as a bowling ball.
What a great network.
You got it.
What friends.
That's good.
Pete, what's going on at Congressional? You got a whole bunch of stuff on your docket for the next 15 years until you're dead, probably, right?
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. We have the Junior Boys and Girls PGA Championship this summer.
Wow.
End of July.
That's a great time.
Nice, quaint event because it's mostly college coaches and parents, so it's not huge crowds.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look back through the kids who have won this championship, it's all the top names on both tours. Next year we have the Senior PGA Championship.
Wow.
Then we have the Women's PGA in 27 again, the Club Professionals in 29, and then we have the PGA Championship in 30, and then a few more all the way up to the Ryder Cup. So we've got
Ryder
a
Cup's
lot
37?
going on. Ryder Cup it was 36, and
Oh, it got moved?
it got moved. COVID pushed everything back.
Oh,
a
okay,
year.
you lost
so
a year. Yeah.
Now it is 2037. So lots going on at the club. It was our 100th anniversary last weekend. So
Wow.
1924 to 2024. So
What was it like that first day it opened?
it was amazing. It was amazing. Abraham Lincoln and I were having a couple drinks together.
That's good.
One of the neat things about, and if people don't know Congressional, the work that you've done, I mean, that redo is incredible. That Andrew Green worked with you on, and I say this to everybody: if you get dropped in the middle of Congressional's property right now, didn't know where you were, and you didn't see the clubhouse, you wouldn't know where you were. That's how dramatic. And then a year later, you do a major tournament. And which was amazing. I mean, it's just and all these guys came and helped. It was kind of cool seeing when
Really
we went to
lucky.
that event and saw
Yeah.
all of you guys.
Yep.
I mean, the whole tree was there at
You
some
bet.
point in time, which was great. Just
You
to
bet.
see that whole family coming back and just supporting you guys. It's just wonderful.
That's the best part.
Yeah, that's so. Do you have anything on the docket for Lancaster?
We're not. We don't.
Hopefully
we
you
don't,
will.
We don't yet. I've heard a lot of rumors.
I mean, this is a great audition, man. This is going to be a great audition.
I think
I think you won.
I think I've said a few times, I feel like this is an interview at
Yeah.
some point, and I'm
Yeah.
representing the community and representing our club, and I think that something's coming, and it just hasn't been announced yet.
Good.
I think it's a big package.
Sweet.
I think it's like Pete's been fortunate to have, and
Yeah.
hopefully I have that same thing where there's something that I can look forward to, because I think ultimately that's kind of what we all want, somewhere we know we can rest our hat for years and years.
So
to
you
come.
want to get back into this fire here. You like this energy, don't you?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
see
I know
it.
it probably drove
Yeah.
all you nuts for a few
No
days,
way.
Yeah,
but
a lot of us.
Hey,
mostly
we like
Pete.
it too, dude.
But-
I mean, we this is fun.
I wouldn't change it for anything in the
Yeah,
world.
we appreciate being
Absolutely.
the official podcast of the Women's U.S.
well,
Open
right.
maintenance team.
You got it.
It's been
You got
great,
it.
Good
Bill.
stuff.
We've
Thanks
had a
for
lot of
having
fun.
us,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
It's been great. Best of luck.
Awesome.
Wonderful event. Pete, thanks for joining us so much, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff coming this way.
Yep.
But
Congrats to Josh.
Yes.
and
Yes.
his team.
Thanks.
Big
Well,
congratulations.
guys. You're just as much a part of this as anybody.
Thanks for all
You
your
helped
support.
got me here.
Thanks,
Josh
bud.
and LCC Grounds. Thank you all. Pete, thank you. All right, everybody. That's a wrap.